Skye Atoa of Lethbridge faces 9 serious criminal charges involving 3 children, including sexual assault, sexual exploitation and unlawful confinement, with some of the charges involving children under the age of 16. Atoa was released on bail last week and rearrested shortly afterward for an alleged breach of his bail conditions thanks to the proactive enforcement of the Lethbridge Police Service. Today, he appeared before the court in person related to that alleged breach. Media Bezirgan has obtained exclusive court records that answer some of the most pressing public questions: who the judge was, who granted bail, what the bail conditions were, and the bail amount. Now, before we continue, I want to take a moment to express my gratitude to my supporters whose contributions make this work possible. Your support enabled me to travel to Lethbridge, cover production and court record costs. Thanks to you, this coverage is possible. And before getting into what happened today and what the court records reveal, I want to address the troubling media coverage of this case. At the last hearing on Thursday, I was the only court-accredited journalist present in the courtroom. I did not see another court-accredited reporter, and I was also the only journalist to report that the bail hearing of Atoa has resulted in an adjournment. No other outlet reported that outcome. That's why I do the work I do. That's why I need your support. If you value this kind of accountability journalism, please consider making a contribution at mediabezirgan.com/donate. Now, let's take a closer look at Skye Atoa's journey through the justice system. In a release statement, the Lethbridge Police Service say that they arrested Atoa on December 20, 2025, following a report that a 14-year-old girl was being held in an apartment. Upon arriving, Atoa answered the door and the girl was located in medical distress. After executing a search warrant, 2 additional girls aged 15 and 16 were found inside his unit. Lethbridge police alleged that the 14-year-old girl reported that she had been forcibly confined and repeatedly sexually assaulted by the male and other men over a 3-day period. During the assaults, she was also forced to consume drugs. The 15-year-old and 16-year-old were forcibly confined to the apartment for several hours, during which time Atoa exposed himself. I inquired with Lethbridge police to ascertain whether they are investigating the other men involved in the sexual abuse. Lethbridge police stated that it is an ongoing investigation and that no further comments will be provided. Police also noted that Atoa was already facing a sexual charge from October 2025. Police believe there may be more victims of Atoa and are asking anyone with information to come forward to assist investigators. Now here's what the court records exclusively obtained by Media Bezirgan show. Atoa is charged with the following: sexual assault on a person under the age of 16, sexual interference involving a person under the age of 16, seeking the sexual services of a person under the age of 18, 3 counts of unlawful confinement of a child, trafficking a child to sexually exploit or to facilitate their exploitation, exposing genital organs for a sexual purpose to a person under the age of 16, counseling a person under the age of 16 to touch him sexually. On that day, Atoa chose to represent himself. Court documents show he was remanded, and his bail hearing was adjourned. On December 22nd, he was represented by a lawyer, but due to a healthcare issue, he was unable to attend, and his bail hearing was adjourned. On December 23rd, a different lawyer represented Atoa, and his bail hearing was adjourned for the 3rd time. On January 5th, again, a different lawyer represented Atoa, and his bail hearing was adjourned for the 4th time. On January 7th, the lawyer remained the same, but his bail hearing was adjourned once again. On January 12th, Justice Frederick Charles Fisher granted bail to Skye Atoa with a promise to pay $1,000 should he breach the following conditions. Atoa shall keep the peace and be of good behavior. Atoa shall appear before the court when required to do so. Atoa shall notify the court in advance of any change in his address, employment, or occupation. Atoa shall keep a copy of this order at all times. Atoa shall not contact or communicate directly or indirectly with the victims and witnesses. Atoa shall immediately leave should he encounter anyone in public he is not supposed to be in contact with. Atoa shall not go to the residences, places of employment or volunteering, places of education, or places of worship of the victims and witnesses. Atoa must reside at a specific address or a treatment center. He shall not leave the above residences before completing his treatment. Atoa must stay away from cannabis and any controlled substances. Atoa shall complete assessments and counseling the government may mandate him to complete for drug abuse. Atoa shall practice in a government-approved treatment program subject to approval from his program director. Atoa shall not be involved with anyone involved in the sex trade. Atoa shall have no communication with anyone under the age of 18. It's notable that bail was granted on a $1,000 promise to pay with no surety required, meaning Justice Frederick Charles Fisher released Atoa back into the community without any cash being posted. Justice Frederick Charles Fisher was appointed to the Provincial Court of Alberta on December 6, 2004, when the Progressive Conservative Party led by Premier Ralph Klein formed the provincial government. An experienced provincial crown prosecutor, Darren Maloney, was assigned to the case, though the court record does not indicate whether bail was meaningfully opposed. Such information may be available later. On January 13, the very next day, there was a minor amendment to the bail condition mandating that Atoa go to a treatment center after completing treatment at the court-approved facility. Within half an hour of the release, Atoa was arrested for allegedly breaching his bail conditions. Here's how Lethbridge Police describe it. Upon his release, Atoa was required to go to a court-ordered residence. But after being dropped off at the location, he made no attempt to comply with the requirements, and instead, through proactive investigation, police observed the subject in the store's perfume aisle in very close proximity to a young female, and he was immediately arrested. Police are seeking a female witness to come forward to assist with the investigation. On January 15, Atoa appeared before a new judge for election and plea. I was present inside the courtroom during this hearing, and the hearing was adjourned to January 20. Today is January 20. Atoa attended the hearing in person in blue remand attire. He had a calm demeanor, and there were shackles on his feet. However, the court was adjourned again with no meaningful progress. The next court hearing is scheduled to take place on January 20 at 9:30 a.m. I would like to note that I was the only court-accredited reporter inside again. And with exclusive court records obtained by Media Bezirgan, you now have answers to your burning questions which the mainstream media failed finding answers to. How could someone accused of such serious crimes be allowed back into the community, and who was the judge that allowed it? Now you know. I will continue to cover this case as extensively as possible, and I have other exclusive stories similar to this one coming out soon, so stay tuned. Please make a contribution at mediabezirgan.com/donate to keep me going. Thank you very much. For Media Bezirgan, I'm Mocha Bezirgan.